In August of 2001, a 19-year-old Brazilian striker walked onto the pitch at the Santiago Bernabéu for a friendly match that nobody expected to remember. Everything changed in the second half when he unleashed a left-footed strike from 30 yards out that clocked in at 170 kilometers per hour. The ball hissed past the goalkeeper like a cannon shot, and the world learned the name Adriano. Within a few short years, the fans at the San Siro would give him a new title, L'Imperatore, the Emperor. This nickname came from the way he moved like no striker the game had ever seen before. Raw strength paired with a dancer's balance and a left foot that defied physics. By 2004, he had become the undisputed king of Italian football, scoring nearly 40 goals a season. Defenders found him impossible to tackle. We were all watching a man destined to become the greatest player of his generation, but then a single moment arrived that nobody saw coming. In just 9 days, the trajectory of his entire life shifted forever. To understand how high he climbed, we have to look back at the world that shaped him in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. He grew up in Vila Cruzeiro, where his father, Almir, worked tirelessly to keep him focused on the right things. In their world, football was the only door that led out. By 16, he was breaking through at Flamengo. 2 years later, Inter Milan brought him to Italy on loan at Parma, where he exploded with 23 goals in 37 games. When Inter paid €23 million to bring him back permanently in 2004, it felt like the club had secured the future of the sport. The 2004 Copa América served as his official coronation. He scored 7 goals to win the Golden Boot and lead Brazil to glory. Just 9 days after that triumph, the phone call came that changed everything. His teammate Zlatan Ibrahimovic later described Adriano as a pure animal that nobody could tackle or dispossess. During the 2004 to 2005 season, he was transcendent, scoring 28 goals. Javier Zanetti watched him train every day and realized he was witnessing the birth of the world's greatest striker. At 22 years old, the future was his for the taking. Then August 4th arrived. During Inter's pre-season training in August of 2004, just 9 days after he had lifted the Copa América trophy, Adriano received a phone call from Brazil that changed everything. His father was dead from a heart attack at only 44 years old, and in an instant the man who had been his foundation was simply gone. Javier Zanetti was standing right there when the news broke. He watched Adriano take the call, hear the words that his father had passed away, and throw his phone across the room before he started screaming. It was a sound so raw and painful that Zanetti admits he still gets chills thinking about it today. What followed was perhaps the cruelest period of his career. On the surface, Adriano was still dominant, continuing to play and score, pointing his fingers toward the sky to dedicate every goal to his father. During the 2004 to 2005 season, he racked up 47 goals over 2 years, each strike a prayer to someone who would never see them. But while the fans saw a superstar, Zanetti saw a man breaking apart. He later stated plainly that nothing was ever the same after that single phone call. Years later, Adriano opened up about the darkness swallowing him whole. He wrote that he felt completely alone and isolated. He admitted he only felt happy when drinking wine, whiskey, vodka, anything to numb the pain. Eventually, he started showing up to morning training sessions drunk. The club protected their star by making excuses, telling the press he had muscular injuries or fatigue. But the truth was he was drowning in grief, and no one knew how to pull him out. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was his teammate at the time and watched the entire tragedy unfold from the front row. He once remarked that 50% of football is purely mental, and if your head is not in the right place, the game becomes almost impossible to play. That was the tragedy of Adriano, because while his physical body was still a force of nature, the mind that controlled it had been shattered into 1,000 pieces. By 2006, the cracks were showing. By 2007, he was struggling to stay in the starting lineup. Inter put him on unpaid leave in 2008, and a year later, Adriano walked away from millions of euros and the stadium where thousands used to chant his name. He did not leave because he had failed as a player, but because he realized staying in that environment was going to destroy him as a human being. Zanetti has called this the biggest defeat of his entire career, a deeper loss than any Champions League final. But looking back, Adriano was not losing his way. He was finally finding the path back to where he belonged. In 2009, Adriano returned to Brazil to play for Flamengo, the very club where his journey began, his home. To the world, this looked like a massive fall from grace. For Adriano, it felt like coming up for air. He did not sign with his boyhood club chasing glory or money, but because he desperately needed a place to heal away from the suffocating pressure of Europe. Once he was back in a place that felt familiar, something incredible happened. He suddenly remembered how to play the game he loved. During that first season back home, he looked like the emperor again, scoring hat-tricks against Internacional and Botafogo. He led Flamengo to their first league title in 17 years, winning a trophy that meant something to the people who raised him. The real takeaway from this story isn't that Adriano wasted his potential. He made the difficult choice to save his own life. He sacrificed a Ballon d'Or and European trophies to find peace on the streets where his father once walked. While most frame his career as a cautionary tale of what could have been, the truth is much more human. He chose his own well-being over an empire, and that was the only kind of glory that could ever truly heal his heart. The night the emperor finally broke wasn't a moment of failure, but rather the night he chose to truly live. He never became the next Ronaldo, yet he transformed into something far rarer by realizing that no trophy is worth losing your soul. In a world that demands every ounce of an athlete, he found the courage to ask for something different, choosing peace and family over the noise of the stadium. That is the side of the beautiful game we rarely get to hear about. If you want more stories about the men behind the myths and the real choices that matter more than glory, consider liking and subscribing to Ball and Badge. Thank you.